Mother of darkness, mother of light, work beneath us, soul in flight. Songs of love and love of life, guide us to our heart. Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath us, soul in flight. Songs of love and love of life, guide us to our heart.
Hi, this is Paisley Wild with the Space Between, and I am new to the Truth Frequency family, so I do apologize for our technical glitches to start off the evening. I do apologize. I am a solitary eclectic pagan here in North Idaho. I live on the banks of Lake Pend Oreille, and I've got a real connection to the mountains around me, the water that I see, and the earth under my feet, and the wind in the trees. And it's really, really awesome to feel that connection to the world around me, but I don't have that same connection or feeling with a lot of the people around me. You can walk into any community and you see a church, or there's a synagogue or places of worship for people who are today's traditional beliefs, like the Christianity, Islam, Judaism, etc. And for pagans, though, we just don't have that. We're quiet. We're often not in your face about it, and so trying to find a group of folks or a group of people that I can connect with and learn from and work with and grow spiritually has been very difficult. I've reached out. I've got a few online groups, which is good, but it's not the same as that one-to-one connection that we really, really, really thrive on. So I'm doing this show because I am a solo practitioner, and I want to bring together other like-minded people and really get into what is paganism or shamanism, what are the differences, touch on druidism, maybe a little bit of cult, just really explore the different belief patterns that go with paganism. So, many pagans believe in gods or goddesses. They revere nature and the elements or animals, and it's just a way for us to get together and talk about it and communicate. What's going on as a pagan. I know there's a lot of meet and greet groups now happening, which is awesome, but it's just there. I want a little bit more of a connection, I guess. So I'm going to be here on Friday nights here on Truth Frequency Radio from 11 p.m. to midnight. I will probably be putting something up on YouTube later, but I'm going to start here. And just to really get into it, tonight we're not doing calls just because I'm new at this and there's going to be some rookie mistakes, I'm sure. I've got Brent Thomas and Dong Longbeard from Paranormal Portal helping me out here. So it's good to have friends in high places that you can reach out to and they help. So I guess just to really start off, I want to talk about what is paganism, just to really get into it to begin with. Often, paganism is considered the authentic or original or ancestral religion of all of humanity. It was here first. And but it wasn't considered paganism at that point. It was just everybody believed in their deities, whether they were spirits or gods or the world around them. It wasn't until Christianity came around and they started grouping folks that didn't believe in Christ, um, into a group, and they call them pagans. And the word pagan itself is derived from the Latin word paganus, which means a country dweller or someone who does not live in the city. So basically, they were trying to say you're uncouth, you're not part of society. And they really tried to shove anybody who did believe in Christianity into the dark corners of the world. And often, if you've read any history or looked at any history, um, you can see just like how hunted people have been who did not believe in Christianity or Islam. And it's just the way it is. So, like I said, pagans generally do venerate nature. They're often polytheistic, and for the most part, pagans, as a rule, do acknowledge the goddess or the feminine face of divinity. Now, that doesn't mean that they worship the goddess necessarily, but often, even for the folks that follow Odin specifically, for instance, they still acknowledge the goddess side of the divinity. They may not worship them, but they still accept that they exist. And that's something that more contemporary faiths or religions just don't believe. That it's very masculine. And pagans generally, as a rule of thumb, have some sort of household shrine to venerate either the household spirits or protectors of the home, or the goddesses or gods that they worship. And it's the shrine doesn't have to be a big deal. Often we take our shrines and we make them disperse throughout the home. So if you have candles on your table or on your mantle or whatnot, just even votive candles to give ambiance to your area, those candles themselves could be part of your shrine or your altar to your deities. Same with like various crystals or rocks or stones. I don't know about you guys, but I know that my children have a habit of picking up every rock that they come across. And often they bring it to me and say, "Oh, isn't this just the prettiest rock?" And it's gravel from the driveway. Okay, well, if you go hiking or you go out walking on nature trails, or you go somewhere important and you collect those rocks that have meaning to you, those could be placed on your altar or in a collection on a shelf, like a curio shelf, that is memorable or gives memory or significance to something that happened. So people who are not pagan might just see it as, oh, that's a pretty decoration, but in reality, for the practitioner, it's a way of venerating the deities they worship. So many faiths and religions, or pagans, I should say, believe in other things than nature or the traditional pantheons. They may believe in elves, or the little people, or the kobolds from Germany, and so they're all. And there's a lot more. Holy cow! There's one for every season or reason, and it's a variety, and it's very diverse. And just as I mentioned a little bit ago, not all pagan faiths are very public. Often it's very internalized. The practice occurs at home because we don't have large public places to meet to share our faith. And a lot of those practices happen daily or weekly, monthly, seasonally, or even yearly. And those offerings might include food or drinks or items of personal intrinsic value. And that could be something as simple as a penny or that gravel from the driveway, or it could be something even more special, semi-precious stones or gems. It just depends on your level of connection that you have with either the god or the goddess, and what you feel needs to be given as an offering. So when it comes to venerating um, deities or nature or what have you, um, often pagans will see nature itself as a manifestation of divinity rather than something that is neutral or inanimate. And so the spirit of a specific place can even be recognized within paganism. And this can be the personification of natural features or guardian spirits or even the elements. And so I talk to the moon on a regular basis. I call her Sister Moon. And and when I need to just express myself or connect with something, I will happily go out and sit under the stars and talk to the moon and ask for advice and direction. And what do I need to be doing? Um, and sometimes just getting it out there and then in communing with the world really helps me find the answers that I need to go about my daily life, whether it's you know big decisions like career or travel or moving or something like that, to even little day-to-day interactions that I might have with other people. Um, the the cycle of the seasons is also viewed as a model of spiritual growth and renewal. As the seasons progress from spring to summer to fall to winter and repeat, um, that is showing um, how the cycle of life, birth and growth and maturity, and then we age and then we pass on. So it's that cycle. And so we as pagans generally, honor those seasons. In later shows, we'll talk about the calendar a bit more, um, and what that means, and some of the pronunciations that if you've only read it don't make a lot of sense, but that's okay. Um, so um, many uh, sorry, I lost my place. I made notes because hey, I'm kind of new at this. So um, as not only do we see nature as something to venerate or manifestation of divinity, we also see the earth itself as sacred. That's why um, I know everybody's heard that the hippie chick or the um, dippy hippie or whatever. It seems like someone who's more in. It's just words that people use to describe someone, but it seems like folks that are more in tune with nature seem to be a little bit more relaxed. They embrace alternate ways of treating themselves with medically or therapeutically, or even just connect or relationshiply. Um, you know, Relationships are another odd thing that people assume that pagans are just all in it for the love and we're dancing naked out and under the moon, and that's not really the way it is, guys. Most of us are quite conservative, and we don't do that. Um, but so moving on, um, the the as we think of the earth itself as being sacred, historically, in many of the practices and rituals that pagans do or have done throughout the year, yeah, the earth itself is offered the first libation of wine or uh, the sip of moon water or sun water, and even in ancient times, the earth was revered, even though it didn't have a formal priesthood or temple of worship. That's partly because the earth is everywhere. It's all around us. You open your eyes, you can see it. You touch something with your hands, you can feel it. You listen with your ears, and you can hear it. It's everywhere. Um, Pagans are often polytheistic, and follow um, pantheons of gods or goddesses, such as like the Celtic deities or the Norse, for instance. And um, there's just a god or a goddess for each individual aspect of daily life. Um, and some are just a recognition of the diversity of nature itself. So there may be a god or a goddess of the river, and then a god or a goddess of the lakes or streams, or then of the ocean or of the rain. And so there's a personification of each of those elements. Um, Even though someone may worship within one particular pantheon, they don't ignore or forget to acknowledge other deities. Um, for example, Hecate is a goddess that um, has been around for quite a while. She was there prior to the Zeus. She was there before Zeus. She helped Zeus defeat the Titans, for instance. And she's appeared throughout time, and has been present in different um, um, pantheons in different cultures. And part of it is they need to connect with those different societies a little bit differently, I think, perhaps. And so the deities are interpreted differently. Um, Initially, people had gods and goddesses that were very representative of that which was around them, like the forest or the sea or the moon and weather, and other aspects of nature. And as society grew, though, so did the number of deities. And they then became connected to things like occupation or location, relationships, for instance. Some of those were modified, of course, from other older gods and goddesses. Some were very, very new. And each and every single one of them had a very definite impact on society. They influenced everything from laws and customs to just the general basic workings of the community. Um, Most pagans believe in some form of reincarnation. So that means we don't really believe in heaven and hell, especially not the way the Christians do. So this means when someone says, "Oh, you're a pagan, you're a devil worshiper," we don't really necessarily believe in the devil the way the Christians do. This is not a very true statement. It's just someone who doesn't understand us, just trying to minimize us and make us look negative, or as a not a poor alternative, I should say, to Christianity, who has so many other positive things about it. So paganists, we tend to celebrate the earth, living creatures, nature. We incorporate gods and goddesses, and we can be polytheistic or monotheistic. Because there are quite a few paths that do focus on one specific god or goddess as that's who they worship. They're very monotheistic in that belief, or in that worship pattern. But even being monotheistic in their worship pattern, they still acknowledge all the other gods and goddesses in the other pantheons. So it looks like we're just about to our break here at the bottom of the hour.